Hi, this is Joe Chambers. Welcome to Musicians Hall of Fame Backstage. Today's clip is actually a bonus clip. It's John Jorgenson talking about working with Michael Nesmith from the Monkees, as well as being a member of the Byrds. Hope you enjoy it. If you do, be sure to hit like, subscribe, and the notification bell so you don't miss any of our new content. Once again, John Jorgenson talking about Michael Nesmith and being a member of the Byrds. You play with way too many people to talk about, but what about Mike Nesmith?
Well, it's cool to relate Michael Nesmith to the Helicasters because I was playing with Michael, and this was in the early 90s, and John Hobbs was a good friend of mine, and John had been playing piano with Nes for a long time, and he recommended me. And Nesmith he's just one of the most interesting guys, so artistic. He's always ahead of the curve. I mean, he was doing MTV kind of things and actually pitched that idea to Time Warner. It was his idea, When the internet came out, he was trying to show me and explain it to me years before I could even grasp what it might be, you know. So I always pay attention to him, and he's got great stories.
Maybe it ran in his family,
Pardon?
Maybe it ran in his family.
Maybe. I mean, obviously his mother thought outside of the box and, created the whiteout. But at that time, he was starting a record label. And John Hobbs brought him down to see the Helicasters. And he loved it, and he asked if we would do an album for his label. If he hadn't done that, probably nothing would have ever happened, because we were just going to get together for one show for fun. And he liked it. He supported us, even to the point of where he asked us to create Helicaster type arrangements for his songs, and we performed together. But it's amazing. If you've never seen his audition tape for the Monkees, you need to watch it. You can find it on YouTube probably. It's really interesting. And he told me a great story about meeting Jimi Hendrix for the first time. He said Mickey had seen Hendrix in London, and it was Mickey's idea to see if they could open for their tour, right? And Michael had heard his music and loved it. So yeah, of course, let's do that. And he said he would sneak out every show. He would sneak out and put a disguise on and watch Hendrix play. And they were staying in the top floor of a hotel, of course, and of course, screaming Monkey fans down below, and they had the whole floor. So Mickey says to him, "Hey, Mike, Jimmy and his band are going to come and say hello. Do you want to meet them?" "Yeah, of course." So Nez literally kind of sticks his head out of the door and looks down the hall. And at the end of the hall, there's an elevator, right? And he sees the elevator doors. He said, "Here's Jimmy and Mitch and Noel." And they're backlit with their hair and their costumes. And he said it's almost like they floated as a unit out of the elevator down the hall. And he said it was like as if the cover of Axis Bold as Love came to life. He said it was so great.
I had a similar, James Pankow from Chicago had a very similar story where Hendrix knocked on the door, and I think it was Walter Parazaider, the saxophone player, said, "Oh man, he looks like he could turn me into a toad." He's so mystical looking, because he said the same thing about his hair and the backlit and the whole thing.
Yep.
Yeah, he had that aura about him.
Well, working with Michael was just really a treat. I think he is one of the most artistically minded people. You think about the group of authors in Paris in the last century, he could have fit in with those very highly creative author-poet types, So I have a lot to thank him for. And I was a fan of the Monkees too.
I was about to say,
I
man,
liked their music.
I did too. And,
You
I
know?
mean, but look, they had great players playing for them,
Yep.
and they had great songwriters.
Great song. And they sang the
And
songs
they
well.
sang great. They
you
did.
know?
They really did.
When I listen to the records now, I'm like,
yeah,
they sound good.
they still sound
Yeah,
good. To
they
me.
hold
Yeah,
up.
Yeah. So you got to be a member of the Byrds too.
That was kind of unbelievable because I'd been a fan for so long. I mean, I traded 45s so that I could have Mr. Tambourine Man,
Yeah.
on a 45 record. And I'd met Roger many times, and he came and sat in with the Desert Rose Band from time to time, and he asked me to come and play on his solo album back from Rio. That was a great experience. I loved that. And at one point, David Crosby and Chris Hillman and Roger McGuinn needed to do some concerts to control the use of their name, the Byrds.
Mm-hmm.
And so they asked me and Steve Duncan to play along with them. And that was magical, really. And at the last concert, the second to last concert, Tom Petty came and sat in with us and played. And then the last concert, Bob Dylan came and sat in and played. And so I felt like I had been transported to the back picture of their first album, where Dylan joins them at the Troubadour. And through that, they were also asked to create some new tracks for a box set that was coming out. And they asked me to record, which was here at Treasure Isle.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a phenomenal experience too. At first, I didn't think it was going to work.
Mm-hmm.
It just seemed like everyone was trying, but it just wasn't coming together. And then all of a sudden, Roger played this line that sounded like a Byrds kind of line, and then David Crosby played a chord sequence underneath it, and it just came together like a jigsaw puzzle falling down the stairs and landing perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, wow, it has become the Byrds, and then one of the days, Chris and David had left early for some reason, and I was still there. I didn't have a car here, so I was just waiting for my ride. And Roger said to me, "Can you play the bass?" I said, "Yeah." Why? Because Chris is the bass player, right? And he said, "Well, I want to cut this song. Stan Lynch and I have written this song together," and Stan was there playing drums. And I said, "Well, I'll play along just for the tracking, but when Chris comes back tomorrow, you have to let him do it, because I didn't want to cause any trouble, and and me being a Byrds fan, I want Chris on the bass."
Mm-hmm.
So we started playing, and I actually had I don't know why I had it. Maybe Chris had borrowed Bill Bryson's G&L bass
Mm-hmm.
that Leo Fender had given to him, and so I was playing that bass, and Roger says, "Stop! This is magic. We've got to cut it right now." I'm like, "Oh no." This should be a good thing, but I was like, no. I said, "Okay, but still, redo the bass tomorrow." He's like, we finished, and he's like, "No, that's magic. We're going to keep it." I thought, oh no. So I came the next day to the studio, and I was really nervous, and Chris was in front of the studio pacing back and forth, and I got out of the car, and I was like, really, it wasn't my idea, and he was giving it all, like, no, I'm not, and then finally he just stopped. He says, "I'm just kidding. It sounds great. I don't care."
That was,
I was so relieved.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that I probably would have passed out.
Oh, I was close to it. I was close to it. I'll tell you what.